We are asleep, but life is a dream. But once in a while, we wake up enough to know that we're dreaming.
When we calm our mind, we can change the world, and we never feel alone, never alone, forever. When we calm our mind, we can change the world, and we never feel alone, never alone, forever.
How to be in this world and not of it. How to find a place of your own. How to never feel
There is one
alone.
hope beyond every challenge, a light between the clouds, a melody. There is a divine smile, the power of true love explodes every problem. Show me the way. When we calm our mind, we can change the world, and we never feel alone. Oh, never feel alone. Forever. When we calm our mind, we can change the world. Never feel alone. Never alone. Forever.
We are asleep. We are asleep, but life is a dream. We are asleep, but life is a dream. But once in a while, we wake up enough to know that we're dreaming.
Hello.
We are never alone.
No, I'm definitely never alone on Thursday because Michelle always happens to be with me at 6 p.m.
Hello, Evelyn. Welcome to you, Evelyn. It's very important, the show that we do today, to talk about the suicide, especially for the indigenous, for the tribes. Thank you, Gabriella, to bring Deepak, and we have an amazing surprise at the end of the show with Deepak and you.
Thank you, Michelle. Yes, I think what we're addressing today is the rampage of suicide in the indigenous communities in North America, and how to find solutions. So today we're going to explore solutions. We're going to hear these incredible speakers, but we're also going to be in touch with a very real reality and its role. So how do we find tools? How do we speak about this and engage the suicide rampage in indigenous tribes and populations and bring that together in the global conversation of mental health so that we can support their voices? Because there is sacredness in their traditions. These populations speak the least out loud. And with respect to their silence, how can we support their pledge to support, because they need help, but how do we support the system that is already in place for them, that they're doing within intertribal communities, but also how do we enhance the support on a more global scale? So we're going to be exploring that issue today.
How can we develop solutions? As you say, Gabriella, this is the particularity of this talk show. Of course, it's interactive with each of you. So today you can ask also all your questions and we will engage an interactive discussion with each of you. But for us, this talk show is very, very unique for Pocahontas and me, Gabriella and me, sorry. It's unique in the world. We see the real Pocahontas. But no, seriously, it's unique because our goal is to develop solution, not to talk about the suicide and the sadness, but the hope, the concrete solution. So to have Randy from the Tuscarora tribes at Niagara Falls, it's exceptional. To have also Evelyn Bailey Art, she's an exceptional artist, painter, and also spiritual producer. What is the solution? What are the solutions that Evelyn is developing? And of course, we have in this talk show Reverend Dr. Temple Ace. Temple, it's amazing because she's in the same time specialist of media, specialist of shamanism, specialist of spirituality. So it will be very special. And I really want to say thank you, Gabriella, for you and Deepak Chopra, because, sorry to say that, but usually no influencer, no big name, no spiritual leader, no political person pay attention for the indigenous. And the tribes, the indigenous is the first population devastated for the suicide. And also the COVID-19.
Yes.
Because as we know, in Arizona, for example, 40% of the houses have no water. People cannot wash the hands. This is the reason why no one has released the data on the reservation. But
there's no data. There's no data.
The level of COVID is amazing. So really, Gabriella, thank you to you, to Deepak. And I will say also to Punacha. Yeah. We say a big hello to Punacha. We love Punacha Machaya. And we will host Punacha so soon also in this talk show. Yes. Let's start with Evelyn. What do you think, Gabriella?
Yes, please invite her on.
But to talk about Evelyn, I would like first again say thank you to Emily Macas and Wen Mulan, my friend, to present me to Evelyn. Evelyn is an amazing painter, a spiritual painter, very shamanic painter. You will discover in a few seconds. And also our approach of spirituality is very special, like Temple Ace. But maybe let's be crazy. Let's start by Temple Ace. Maybe Temple is with us now. I feel that.
Oh, perfect, Temple.
I'm right here with you.
See you.
I'm right here with you. It's such a pleasure to be here. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. I think let's just get right into the subject here. You know, obviously you practiced and studied shamanism. You're a spiritual leader in your own community. You're a woman, you know, and I think I would like to hear, what do you think are practical solutions from, I would say, an indigenous point of view, a tribal point of view, Native American point of view. I know Reverend Kimberly works with you at First Unity Campus, so it would be lovely to have your insights through how do you communicate tools to help these communities where you're located.
Yeah, well, it goes back to that same statement, doesn't it? That we are healed by what we turn towards rather than what we turn away from. I mean, that is fundamental to our nature, isn't it? That's where the healing comes, in conversation, in storytelling, in awareness. And that's why I feel the I Am Never Alone movement is so powerful. That's why I feel the Mind Dive app that you have been so significant with, that Michelle, that you spent all that time building, because regardless of cultures, we know that half the people on the planet have cell phones. So if they have a cell phone, they have access to an app that when there's depression, when there's anxiety, when there's feelings of darkness, there's solutions. There's immediate solutions with this app that they can pull up on their phone. One of the things that is so shocking to people, because often we label things in our culture, we label what an image looks like of homelessness. You know, we tend to think of someone that's homeless that, well, they, you know, they don't want to do work or they don't want to do better. where the truth of the matter is probably the largest level of people that are homeless are through job transitions. And they're part of the less than middle America. Their children go hungry. If it weren't for school, they would probably be in a dire situation. And that's kind of, to me, like the label that is given tribal people or indigenous people, like, well, they're just people, they just want to hang out with their own uniqueness, and they want to protect themselves and those kind of things, where it has often been said at global and world events that they are the culture that we know we owe a significant apology to. You know, and because they are the founders of what is. You know, years ago, before technology, before all of these connections, when you would have adventurers or journalists travel near and far over mountains all over the world, the beauty and the shocking thing about the indigenous Aboriginal people is that they all practice the same way. They all practice the same way. They had the same type of rituals. They had the same type of belief systems. Well, how is that possible? Because they listened to spirit. You know, how is that possible? Because they were open to something greater than themselves, and because they were so immensely gifted. I mean, when we look at the throes of depression in many cases, and I'm not a depression expert, but I am an expert about being an alcoholic. And I am an expert in my own life about what it means to be somewhat feeling like a misplaced gifted person, or someone that was created that was flawed according to the world of small thinking or religiosity. You understand what I mean? So I think one of the solutions, in addition to the ones I just named, is for the conversations to be around that the indigenous and the tribal people are not less than, they're more than. And working with them to change the narrative of the story. It's because you're gifted, not because you're flawed. And when we validate a gifted individual in their humanity, there's a whole new level of healing that starts to unravel, and their story begins to change. And that's significant.
I think, Temple, you say the key word a few seconds ago. When you say we validate, because the tribes, of course, has received an amazing trauma with the Holocaust, what they live, it's terrible. So when any person, if a person is abused, the person receives a trauma. So the recognition to validate the person, to really listen what say the person, to discover the culture, to create events, to validate, to promote the culture, to promote the message. What you say, Temple, this is a concrete solution. Because we must consider the trauma of the tribes like someone abused. When someone is abused, the person needs to talk. The person to express, the person needs to feel that someone is listen to your message, listen to your heart. So when you talk about validation, to validate the culture, to talk, to organize events, as you say on My Dive app, this is what we are working. And I would like to interview you again on My Dive app for the tribes and alcoholism and all the acknowledge that you have.
Absolutely, yes. And it's evolutionary, isn't it? I mean, every time we do this show, it's building in an evolutionary way. We're getting new ideas. We're making a new connection, perhaps with old words, but we are identifying with what is necessary and looking at what is. You know, we can only start where we are, but it is necessary, because trauma, to just put layers on top of it, does not heal it. I mean, we want people feeling safe to talk about their trauma, their depression, And all the statistics tell us, and all the studies I've done, when someone's talking about suicide, that can often be when the healing is beginning.
Yes.
You know, we want them to feel safe, that they can identify with that, because that's a layer of they're asking for help. And so we start where we are. And I mean, I can see some of us going and going into some of the tribes and actually, you know, bringing conversations and identifying with validating pain opens the heart of the soul. Validating pain opens the heart of the soul. I remember in a very small way, and this is very small, years ago, I had a car accident. I had several things happen, and I felt like I had there was like a poison taste in my mouth, and I felt like I had a cord that pulsated from my jaw to the bottom of my foot, and it would pulsate, you know. And I'm in my, you know, late 20s, and I went to all these specialists, and I said, you know, it's just driving me crazy. I mean, I just feel like I have this pulsating and it won't stop. And I'm very skinny, and they're going, that's not possible. Okay. I walk into a chiropractic clinic. I was referred to someone. It was called Sanctuary. All right. Chiropractic. I walk in the door. When the doctor sees me, he goes, oh, you don't have to talk. I already see what's wrong. You have like a poison. You have like a deep infection in your mouth.
Wow.
And he said, and you have a cord that's pulsating, right, all the way down your right side. In that moment, for the first time in all those years, I aligned again with the spirit of who I am. Because I was not wronged for what I felt. I was owned by the space. And that's what is so necessary with the indigenous people and the Aboriginal people. They have been so judged.
If the audience has any questions to you, please. Hello, Evelyn.
Hello, Evelyn.
Evelyn.
Temple, that was a very profound insight. I think it's important to understand that we are at the center of our own experience.
Yes.
Right? So knowing that we're at the center of our own experience, we become aligned, I would say, by the relevance that we are heard, where we are heard. And I think that's exactly what it's like. You were heard in that moment, and that moment allowed you to validate your experience as a human being in your own alignment. And I think that, that the key here is to truly listen. How do we listen? And how do we create a space for people who have experienced the collective trauma over years and decades and decades and decades? And this is part of the conversation today, but this is part of a larger conversation at large, globally. Obviously Black Lives Matter is the conversation right now. But within that global conversation, we are experiencing other pockets that are riding on this beautiful wave of awakening, so that we can branch out and experience our relevance as a collective storytelling, rewriting. I like that we're rewriting, but I also like we are re-speaking. We are becoming different narrators of these stories, And I think, sorry, I just wanted to underline that because it's an extremely important aspect that you underlined.
Absolutely. Please stay with your essence of it too, because when you say it, it can be heard in a very significant way. It's I hear you, and it's also I see you.
I see you too.
This is exactly what you say in the film I Am Never Alone to Gabriella.
Yes.
In the sequence, you say, more than I understand you, I feel you.
I feel you.
And it's very interesting because the indigenous, they have the highest spiritual acknowledge.
Yes.
Because they have the ancient tradition and they are more intelligent than us.
Yes.
We commit suicide because we are disconnected from the mother nature. But indigenous, they knew and they know exactly how to be reconnected with the elements, the cosmos, the moon, the river, the flower, the plant, the stones, that we commit suicide because we are disconnected from the mother nature. So to validate this acknowledge, just to make the show, hello, Kimberly.
Kimberly, we love
you. Talking about you. We love you.
Yes.
We want you on stage with us in Niagara Falls, with Evelyn Temple and everyone. So
own, Michelle, for us to, as a culture, own their sensitivities.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you talk to a psychic or a medium and they say it never turns off. You know, it's like people get really excited about spirituality. It's like, oh, I'm going to feel like naturally high and I probably won't have any problems anymore. And I'll be like in nirvana. For the truth of the matter is, the more you evolve within your own spirit, you become, your humanity is so accelerated and so magnified.
Yeah.
And so the people of these cultures, they're so sensitive and they're feeling everything.
Yes.
They're feeling the tension, they feel the trauma, they feel those kind of things. And so with the solutions that we're discussing and talking about and sharing, there's many beautiful doors. You know.
Hello, we love you.
Thank you so much.
Hello. If you have any question, it's important. So when we talk about to validate the indigenous culture, it's an honor for us to receive today now Evelyn, because Evelyn Bailey Art, she is from the indigenous tradition. But Evelyn, we would like that you can explain to us what you do concretely. Can you explain to us what you are preparing at Niagara Falls?
Yes.
It's an amazing symbol. You are the spiritual producer. You carry on your shoulders this work. Can you explain to us? Because this is exactly what set Temple and Gabriella to validate. Thank you, my Temple. We see you after if you can. Huh?
Thank
you,
you,
Temple. We love you, Temple.
Thank you, Temple, so much. She put so much, so many roots into the conversation, and it's a beautiful way to start it. So thank you, Temple, so much, and Gabriella for your intro and your, opening this up as well, and really getting us in the vibration, especially when the adrenaline is here and it's like, here we go, and your voice and everything you said and it really helped to really set the stage. So thank you, Michelle, and hello and welcome. There's so many things that I just want to quickly acknowledge before I answer your question, Michelle. And when Temple was on and in the conversation with Gabriella, what she had mentioned, is how do we create the space? Like, what is the space? Like, if we were to paint a picture and create that space, my job is to show what that space looks like. And so for me, it's using art as a tool of validation, as a way of honoring the indigenous, showing them that we see them, and really using art as a portal from soul to soul, and connection at the highest, education, influence, transfer of wisdom, you name it, it all happens through one portal that is the art. So I feel that the concert is an art festival, if I could really sum it up, with Michelle doing a symphony, like an a cappella style symphony, a cappella song to the symphony of the falls, the natural sound of the falls, is a true artist's vision to the fullest, as well as a combination of other artists, myself and Randy, being that we are artists who are here to bring a vision to life of what does it look like to remedy the pain of the past, the pains of our present, the pains of the future that are even to come. What is the antidote? What is the remedy? And so as artists, and I've always said that the time of the artist would come when artists would arise and lead the future, lead humanity. Because if we were to all get on, like, art is the universal language that every single person on the earth will understand. There's zero confusion when it comes to the visual language, and I feel that is the strongest way to connect humanity when it really comes down to it, when it really matters. Right now, it really matters that we have no misunderstanding, no misconfusion. We use the tool of art to connect people to the truth of what the indigenous have experienced, bring their truth to the surface so they can reclaim their identity, and then take that, allow them to actually practice what they do, because that's been taken away. It's not they've lost self-expression, and now they don't have a way of really even practicing their rituals, which if once we take that on, we start to connect with nature and we start to heal ourselves and heal the earth. So bringing their wisdom to life, Michelle, is really the vision for me. The Symphony of the Falls is going to be a beautiful combination of healing and art, and bringing that together so that it's a visual reference of what it looks like to heal, to truly heal. And so that was a long answer to the first question, but I
think it could be good to see for the first time, to show for the first time the teaser, the video teaser of this project. And it will be amazing also to host on stage a lot of indigenous artists, as you say, Evelyn, and with Randy, of course, in a few minutes. And as you say, with Kevin also, to open a night, and an open night to have a lot of indigenous artists that Randy can invite, and all the tribes, they can sing all the night, we can dance, we can sing, we can have the message of Gabriella, Temple, Reverend Kimberly, and of course, the message of Deepak. And it's very unique that someone like Deepak Chopra, like today, this talk show, accept to talk to the tribes, to validate, to consider that every person from a tribe, it's like a huge, huge, huge trauma that the person has received. Like you say, Gabriella, also for the Black community, for all our brothers, sisters. So suddenly when we validate the portal of the heart, wow, suddenly we never feel alone. This is a very concrete way for that. Thank you, Temple. We see maybe let's see the teaser.
Yes, let's watch the teaser.
The music is composed by Myron McKinley.
Are the teasers here or not?
It arrives from the falls of Niagara.
Beautiful. I think what I want to add on this is that obviously the Niagara Falls, it's the dominance of water, right? So it's the water of our beings, and it is a primordial sound. It is a primal element that we are composed of. And interestingly enough, emotions are linked to the water flow that we experience. So what's important here, it's a living meditation. This concert will be a living meditation, an experience of your own self through the collective self of these great primordial sounds that Michelle will be, singing, but also each indigenous tribe will share their primordial sounds of healing as well with I would say the mother, which is the great Niagara Falls as a symbol of our oceans of immense emotions, an emotion is not a bad thing. As the falls show us, it just flows through us. So I feel that, these are very practical tools to awaken, It's a concept, but it's also a practical experience. It's a practical tool. How do we take that little tool home? How do we do that? So that's what we're going to learn, and that's what we're going to open up to. So I'm looking forward to that, Michelle.
I can't wait to know.
I'm looking forward to that, Evelyn. I love it. It's great.
Just an important thing. Of course, the audience can ask any question to Evelyn, to you, Gabriella, to me, to Temple. It's an interactive talk show. The date of this show at Niagara Falls will be probably this summer, according the border of Canada and America is reopened. And immediately we will update you. But Evelyn, I really wanted to say we are proud of you.
Yes,
it's so beautiful what you do.
Thank you.
What an artist you are as a painter and as a spiritual warrior, producer. So we love you. We love you, Evelyn. And you stay with us. You will be with us at the end of this talk show. But now this is the time to host our special guest, our brother Randy from the Tuscarora tribes. Hey, Randy!
How you doing?
Randy. Such an honor for us to have you within our family.
Such an honor to be here.
I'm so humbled. I have deep reverence. So thank you.
Randy, can you introduce you in a few words for all the audience? Can you present you for the audience?
Yes, absolutely. My name is Randy Green. My Ongwahome name, or my native name, is Hahontiantuas, which means planting trees or tree planter. And I come from the Tuscarora Nation, right outside of Niagara Falls, New York. As I mentioned, I'm of the Turtle Clan, and that is my family. That is who I belong to. We are a matrilineal society, so everything is handed down through our mothers. And growing up on the reservation, my family had traveled the country, traveled the world, demonstrating and educating others on our native traditions, our Haudenosaunee songs and dances. And after I joined the military out of high school, I lived in Seattle, and I was invited to some of their gatherings and their powwows, and was able to share some of my local Haudenosaunee songs and dances with them, and likewise they shared some of their native songs and dances with me as well. And that's what brings us together. That the songs and dances that we do amongst our native communities brings us together, and that's honestly why I would love to join this team here, with Evelyn reaching out and explain what her vision was, and Michelle, and I will do pretty much whatever it takes to make this work. Bring our songs, our dances to those in the world, to bring us together for the healing. Healing Mother Earth, healing ourselves, healing our own communities. We have to start in our local communities and bring people together. And my family has done that for a number of years. My mother was a social worker, and as I mentioned, my family has been doing the social dancing for generations now, and we're passing it on to our children. We have to look 7 generations ahead to make sure that our our language, our art is passed down through those generations. And it's on our shoulders now to make sure that our children and our grandchildren can carry on with this. And I've reached out to different artists throughout, we call it Turtle Island. North America, we believe, is set upon the back of a giant snapping turtle. And I've reached out to artists, and they are all for it. Want to do whatever they can to make sure this happens, this healing that our Earth is facing, or this pandemic that we're facing. You know, we all need to heal.
Yes.
Mentally, emotionally. We've all known someone that has either been sick by this COVID or has passed on. Not only that, but we've all know somebody that has either committed suicide or has attempted. And in our Native communities, it is so prevalent. It is the number 1 or number 2 cause of death amongst our youth. And it is definitely something that needs to be addressed. And a lot of times what I've been hearing is that it comes down to support. It comes down to funding for different programs that they have on the different Native communities, both in the United States and in Canada.
Yes.
So looking to our elders and looking to our artists to give back to the community. And as I mentioned, it comes down to funding. You know, we would love to do classes or, teach them how to make stuff. But then where is all the, the paintbrushes, the canvases, yeah, absolutely. The supplies that we need to do this, where's all that going to come from? And we look amongst our own community members for that. And, it's something that I would love to do. And, with the art, it is definitely an outlet for feelings, for hardship, for aggravation, anxiety, depression that we all feel each and every day, and it's something that I resort to. It is, for me, it's also, especially with the gyms being closed right now. It's like I've been in the garage working on projects and posting stuff online, just to get my work out there. And it really set me on a path of wanting to help more people. We have so many talented people within our Native communities that a lot of them don't have the means to pursue that goal or that tune that talent just enough to make it work for them, or even have the means to find that talent. We have so many people that just don't reach their potential because they don't have the means, or they don't have the know-how, or know the right people. So, on this, that's one great thing that we have, the internet, our phones, connections to people. And that's actually how we got into connect with Michelle and Evelyn, through a mutual friend. And Kevin, thank you so much for putting my name in there and allowing me to connect with Michelle and Evelyn and Gabriella. Thank you so much for having me. And a little bit more than just an intro, but a lot of information that I felt really need to get out there.
Randy, so according you, and it's very interesting what you say, your approach to reduce the suicide for the tribes and for everyone, it's to preserve and to rediscover the culture of the indigenous, and especially through art. It's like art therapy, because when you sing, when you paint, when you dance, suddenly we receive an emotion. It's not we talk mentally, it's suddenly the soul is reactive. We commit suicide because the soul is sleeping, the soul is dying. But with art, suddenly it's like, shoof, you send an arrow in the heart, in the soul of the person to wake up the soul. So according you, it's very beautiful. You think that to preserve the art, to create, as we want to do with Gabriella and Evelyn, it's to give you a section on our app, Mind Dive, a special section dedicated for your heart, and with Evelyn and other artists that you can bring, that you can have a window, because we know the world lives in a cell phone. So the heart, the culture must come in the cell phone. The cell phone is in our hand. Our hand became a cell phone. So this is the best way. We have the tools. So this is also a fantastic way. We have technology in reality to save the world. And your culture, absolutely divine. Because as we talk all the time with Gabriella, we commit suicide because we are disconnected from Mother Nature. So the transmission of your acknowledge suddenly help our soul to live again. So this is your approach to art. Huh? This is what you think as a solution, Randy? This is your experience?
Not. It can be a solution for a lot of people. But like learning anything, people learn different ways. I can read a book 10 times, but it doesn't sink in. If somebody shows me it, I can get it the first time. We all have different traits. We have to be able to address those different traits in order for all of us to learn what it is that we're on this earth to do. And we can present people with certain items and interests, but it's up to them to want it. And as I mentioned with the internet and the social, it's hard with social distancing. It's better with social distancing, but it's great to have this tool with us, so that way we can have virtual classes or paint nights through Zoom, using this as a platform. But it's a way for us to reach people on a whole nother level through art and song and dance. And like Evelyn was saying, art, song, dance is universal. Everybody can connect with a beautiful song. Everybody can connect with a masterpiece of art. And it is our culture that we have as Ongohomi people, to be one with the earth, and art is all around us. We just have to take another breath, not just one deep breath, but another breath to stop and enjoy, what's around us, especially around the Great Lakes. We have so many places. Like, I've lived here my whole life, and I'm still discovering places that are beautiful. And, on bike rides or walks, you see these certain spots that you've never seen before. Well, take this trail, taking the roads less traveled in order to find your own path. And that is something that, I love to live by each and every day. And, for people that are struggling, from doing the same thing each and every day, waking up, going to work, coming home, take that second breath, take the road less traveled. It could turn into an adventure. It could turn into a unbelievable experience. You could meet somebody that you never met before that turned out they're your best friend in a couple of years. All these different options, that life has provided for you. You just have to be able to stop and embrace it. But art, song, and dance is one thing that I've always been able to go back to. And, thank you so much to my family, my mother, my father, some of our elders in our community that have passed on for, teaching these songs and dances and art. I have some world-renowned stone carvers in my family that have taught me when I was younger. And then as I get older, I'm able to tune my skills, for having my own taste on it, having my own little twist. And it's just like as I mentioned, it's a therapy. Doing something that you love to do, and I'm lucky enough to be able to enjoy it as a hobby right now. And I'm very thankful for that. So with those people that are looking for help, to try and find what they're good at, to try and tune their artistic abilities, I'm here to help. I joined this team is to get the word out there, through song, through dance, and
You know what we can do, Randy? You stay with us because now we have the chance to have the message of Deepak Chopra for you for all the time. Exceptional interview, exclusive, that Gabriella made with Deepak a few days ago. But just after, let's sing together as we do all time together. When we are on Zoom,
wonderful. That'd be great.
It will be an honor to sing with you with your drums, and it can be a feast.
Wonderful. Sounds good.
Gabriella and Deepak, and after you are concrete. Just I want to say to you, like Temple, like Evelyn, for me, you touch today the key to reduce the suicide. It is to open the heart of the person. It's not to talk, it's to tune the person and dance, music, song. When we see the beauty of the nature, when we see the beauty of a sand painting, a dance, oh my gosh, you say, okay, I stop suicide. It's ridiculous. Like that, we resolve the suicide. And to put that in an app will be amazing with you, Randy. Let's listen, Deepak and Gabriella, and after we sing together, my brother. Thank you so much, Randy.
Loud. Okay. Hello, Deepak. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Gabriella? Nice to see you here.
I'm good. How are you amidst this beautiful chaos that we're experiencing of transformation?
Yeah, we're just waiting for it to make the connections between the proliferation of uncertainty for the emergence of creativity.
That's beautiful.
It all happened by itself.
Well, today we're showing support for the minority group of the Native American tribes and the First Nations. And these populations truly suffer from a very high rate of suicide, and all over between Canada and the USA. So what they really wanted to hear from you was just a message of support, and how can they really address and get through this issue that they're experiencing daily.
Well, I think from a scientific point of view, we need to understand such a thing as intergenerational trauma. So there's a biological explanation for not only the mental distress that indigenous people or people whose ancestors were hurt, raped, murdered, pillaged, all of that. That trauma is epigenetically creating biological distress in people, leading not only to suicide, but all kinds of chronic illness. So you can see that, and it's epigenetic. And therefore, the bigger solution to this is to address the trauma without necessarily, having the inner desire for what we call these days we call justice, but it means revenge. Mm-hmm. So what I've been focusing on is that groups such as the indigenous people, African American communities, descendants of, unfortunately, what we can only call colonial history, because the colonial history is full of predation, and even though it's romanticized, the colonists went to the world and they conquered it and they civilized the heathens and they got rid of primitive ideas and primitive religions and primitive worldviews and replaced it with their worldview. The colonial worldview was conquest, predation, power, and weapons. And even though romanticized, it's a history of murder, rape, pillage, conquest, and desecration. So we know that, and the trauma is there in not only indigenous people, but African Americans, all the descendants of those that were conquered by colonialists. That's the history. We have to face the history. We don't need to be resentful because it's history. It's what happened. We can't change it. So that's the past. In the present, of course, is the extreme depression, suicidal tendencies, chronic diseases, alcoholism, tuberculosis. And you know that colonials brought all this to the indigenous people, including syphilis and tuberculosis, alcohol, and guns. That's the history. You have to face it. Then there's the present history, which is total chaos across the world, and the indigenous people and people who have been descendants of conquest have a higher risk of illness, acute and chronic. The only correlation, by the way, between chronic disease, acute disease, mental illness is your zip code. Your zip code can tell you everything about your future. And so these poor indigenous people don't even have a zip code, some of them, because they're so marginalized. So unless we face those facts, everything else we see is irrelevant. So there's a past story, there's a present story, and now the future. I don't believe the future can depend on outside forces, because just like the descendants of the subjugated people, the descendants of the slaves, the descendants of those who were in servitude, they have epigenetically been programmed to have low self-esteem. And the same way the conquerors, the colonialists, are epigenetically, unfortunately, at the risk of talking to a white person, I can say the white race is epigenetically programmed to think of themselves as superior, even though genetically, we're all the same entangled DNA. So you can't depend on outside sources for the future. It has to be self-organization of those who are impoverished, those who are compromised, those who have this sad legacy of trauma, intergenerational trauma. They have to organize, self-organize, along with other self-organizing groups, which is, I guess, the whole modus operandi behind Never Alone. Self-organizing online, offline communities where we can offer tools for personal and social transformation and better physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. It can't come from the outside. It has to come from within the marginalized groups. The advantage, of course, is all the marginalized groups put together are the majority. The descendants of the conquerors are now the minority. So it'll take a little bit of a shift. But for me, this is the only solution. Self-organization, online, offline, of communities that are focused on three things. Sangha, which is community, shared vision, emotional and spiritual bonding, complementing each other's strengths, maximum diversity, open systems, total feedback and transparency, and diversity of talent, opinion, expertise. It'll take a lot to change this story of global depression, mental, physical, financial, environmental, global depression, but particularly those who are even more marginalized. So it'll take real vision, true distributed leadership, and a different culture of service, shared vision, complementing strengths and sharing stories of recovery, but also stories of trauma and how people recovered from that. It'll take time, patience, and a lot of empathy, compassion, without condescension. Because there's the other thing that happens is that the so-called helpers and the saviors, they somehow subconsciously feel as if they are the saviors and they are making a difference and they are here to help. There's a bit of condescension that
I agree.
we are the saviors and these are the poor, disenfranchised, compromised people. That kind of thinking is not going to help.
I agree.
It's Black Lives Matter or Indigenous people or any other marginalized community. It has to be coming from within, self-organizing, and collaborating with other self-organizing communities.
Sanghas. That's interesting. Do you think that, we have 2 more minutes, do you think that what's happening today with Black Lives Matter, do you think it's a global awakening as it's presented? Or do you think that's actually helping the other self-organizing groups and sanghas to reveal their voices as well and gain strength from as well?
I think Black Lives Matter is a very necessary first step, bringing awareness to the injustices of the past. But if it stays where it is, as activist agitation against the wrongs that have been inflicted, if it stays there, it has the risk of fizzling out. If it actually takes the next leap into Black Lives Matter, then all lives matter, but some lives are more marginalized than the others. And how can we help self-organize and connect these groups without being dependent on the people who think they are the saviors?
That's beautiful. Thank you, Deepak. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Very helpful for our different sanghas.
Take care. All the best.
All the best. Thank you.
What you're doing. Never
Thank
Alone
you.
is a great adventure and a great movement and a great film.
Thank you, Deepak. Be
Thank
safe.
you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Deepak. Thank you, Pocahontas.
I just wanted to add something very important to, because we're close to the end of the show. Michelle, you're going to sing with Randy. I just wanted to add a few observations and insights. We all are experiencing acute suffering and pain and PTSD that is being awakened by different movements. For example, some of my best friends, years after being abused, when the Me Too movement started, went straight back into PTSD, not eating, couldn't interact again. So I understand that the movement that we're going through today as a collective is bringing a lot of stress that we sometimes we already thought we had addressed it, you see. But now it's awakening. But why is it awakening? Why are we dealing with this stress that hasn't been addressed? Because as a collective experience, as this world is our extended body, because there is a lot of injustice that hasn't been addressed. So what we experience globally is actually the mirror of our inner reality. And it is time that we have that little check-in and not just say, oh, it's because of this, it's because of that. Yes, that is an exterior factor. But also, what is it? What can we change to our perception of it, to the language of it within? how can we recreate a language of self-awareness so that not only can we be activists, because I'm an activist, I have been an activist for 20 years now, and I've also been on the journey of self-awareness for 20 years, but that doesn't mean I have the solution. It means that I experience a self-healing organism process that allows me to interact and heal the family that surround me. I get it from them, I get it through, and that's how we become this living organism as a collective. So each and every one, we have a responsibility to find self-justice within, as well as justice in our extended body of societal frameworks and systems and systematic racism and cultural trauma, etc. So I just wanted to end with that. Because these are insights that we create. We create questions, we experience the answer, and we experience the answer through how we live, how we listen, how we experience silence, how we hear the silence behind the noise. Okay, so that's to introduce the next part of the show.
Before that, first, Gabriella, thank you, and thank you. To be who you are, to talk with your heart, to break all the rules.
I like breaking rules.
I would like to show you something unique in the world. I have found the magic stick to change the world in 2 seconds. Do you want I show you this magic stick?
Of course. Anything magic. Oh, there you go. Telephone. I have one too.
In 1 second, we can change the world with this. Because the world lives in a cell phone. So when Randy, when Evelyn, when Reverend Tempolace, when Deepak talk about Sangha, etc., we have the tool, we have the magic stick to change the world in 1 second. Because imagine Randy when he chant, when he celebrate, Evelyn when she paint, when all the artists, they are here in an app as we have created with you, my Gabriella, with Deepak, with Temple, with Michael Beckwith, with Reverend Kimberly, she's in the app, with everyone. We can change the world with a cell phone because the world lives in a cell phone. Mm-hmm. So in 1 second, someone depressed and we won't commit suicide. Imagine in the tribe, imagine in any big city, suddenly you listen the chanting of Randy and you say, no way, this is so beautiful. You see the painting of Evelyn, you see, no way, we listen your message, we listen Deepak. This is a Sangha, as you say, as Deepak say. So I think I am very optimistic because in reality, in this terrible situation, we have found the magic stick. We can change the world with a cell phone. This is what we do with our app, free cost, to don't make money, just to open the heart for everyone.
Exactly. And you can download the app. This is an app that we're building together as a collective.
Yes.
So please download the app, Mind Dive app. There's a section for children, the future of humanity. But also we're expanding this. This is our conversation. When I say our, not ours, our global conversation, So
you know, my favorite spiritual quotes, it's written by Gabriella Wright. It is not we have the solution. It is we are the solution. Gabriella, excuse me, baby. In one punchline, you resume all the message all together. We are, we are the world. We are the solution. So, Gabriella, thank you. And you can dance and sing with us, with Randy. Randy, I am sure you will appear in the screen. Thank you, my Gabriella. Oh, Randy, my brother, your smile. We need to have your smile through this cell phone, just to listen.
I want to tune in.
You imagine how million people, they could listen today what you say, your message. Before it was not possible. But today, everyone can listen to you in his hand. Like that, we change the world. We have created in this terrible moment we have created the magic stick to save the world in reality. So, Randy, let's go to sing, my brother. Please start, and I will follow you. As you know, Gabriella, with and Evelyn can join us with Evelyn and Randy. When we have meetings, we love to finish and to sing, because to sing is to pray, it's to cope. So the divine energy. Please.
So,
Randy.
really quick, the instrument I'm using is a water drum, and the drum that we use is significance behind it is the heartbeat of the world, or the heartbeat of the people that we honor. And inside we have water. Without water in our life, we don't exist. Our physical form does not exist without the water. So you hit it, the vibration off of the leather on top reverberates off of the water inside and projects the sound from the drum that you hear. So I'm going to be singing a round dance, which is a unity dance, bringing people together. Dance one way, the right, to signify all the good things in life. Halfway through, you dance back to the left to signify all the bad things in life. You know, so it's kind of like the yin and the yang. You know, so you can keep moving forward in life. So it's a round dance.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you, my brother Randy. Oh, so beautiful.
So it's just a taste of what's to come at our concert.
Exactly.
And imagine that huge scale, amazing sound, amazing, you know, so that we really experience a whole transformation through our body, a 360 multi-dimensional experience. On stage at the event, I'll share a personal story thanks to the Lakota tribe in Pine Ridge, they healed something that was unhealable to Western medicine for me, and it took me quite a while to get there. So I will share that story when we're in concert together.
It's great. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Randy. That was beautiful.
Thank you so much for having me.
Really, really look forward to this partnership to awaken the voices within.
Thank you. It will be beautiful to be all together now with Evelyn and Temple, and of course, Randy, you and you, Gabrielle, and Deepak is in our heart also, and to have Evelyn.
Yes.
What you would like to say, Evelyn, to your message to resume all that we said today in 1 minute? What you would like to share with us?
I just want to share that I do believe that it is the art and the expression of art that will help become the antidote for healing for so many, especially those who are in a space where their mind contemplates suicide. And, my goal is to, transfer the wisdom of the indigenous to the world. And so it's an honor to be able to be like behind the architect here in Canada, bringing this together, because one of the biggest visions I've ever had was that art would liberate the world, because it would connect us in a way that we have never been connected before. And in fact, where words have been separated, as words were designed to separate, art has really the official language that connects us soul to soul, and then we have a coherency that allows us to move in harmony going forward. And I believe that, for those who like Disney or who watch Frozen, the concept is that water holds memory. And if we are blessing this water and it's carrying the memory of this energy into the world as the main artery for the world here in Niagara Falls, then we're very clear that this is going to be probably the most powerful healing concert the world has ever seen. So thank you so much for this team bringing it together, Temple Hayes, for bringing your wisdom of perspectives, Gabriella, everyone, and Randy. You and I know what we're going to create is going to be a magical experience that, like I said, the world is ready for and the world desperately needs. And I truly believe that just before I end off, there is a powerful saying that, art is, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And, when I came across this image, it resonated with almost every single person that saw it. I truly believe that when we allow ourselves to heal from indigenous roots, it'll be the foundation and the exact way we do it with them. We should do it with every nation that feels a sense of depression and that needs to feel expressed, like Temple said, that needs validation, that needs to transmute their pain into the next phase that the world is ready for, because we're all shifted to this new version of ourselves, and we have to operate from the creative mind. We have to. So thank you, and I appreciate everyone, and I cannot wait for this event.
And you, my Temple, what you would like to say, Reverend Temple?
No, it's just such a blessing to be in this circle. It's such an honor, and I can only imagine the power and the essence and the global healing that will occur at Niagara Falls, with all of us aligned together to activate the soul's mission to open the heart of the world. And it will be like ultimate soul retrieval. It really will. So, yes.
I would like to say thing. I would like to say, facing you, Randy, facing your ancestor, facing all the tribes, the same for you, Evelyn.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to say how we need to learn from you, because in the ancient time, there is no stress. It did not exist. Stress is a very modern mental disease. And we commit suicide because our soul is closed, our soul is sick. But with art, when we see your painting, Evelyn, when we listen your chanting, Randy, your art and all your ancestors, suddenly, with no blah blah, no talk, it's very concrete, I will say, Gabriella, suddenly the soul reopen in 1 second. And this soul open like a flower. And again, it can be here. This is a magic stick to save the world, baby. Thank you to each of you. It is so beautiful.
Thank you.
Brother Randy.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you, Evelyn. Thank you.
Thank you to your ancestor, to your mommy, to your daddy, to all the families. Your smile represent your ancestor and your culture. Thank you, Evelyn. Your smile. It's like Gabriella. Maybe you were sister in the past lives. It's
Past, present life, there is no time in confidence.
Oh, of course,
That's
darling.
another
And thank you to Deepak, and thank you to the audience, to each of your message. Thank you to Kevin to organize also this meeting with you, Randy.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you to Wayne, again, really from my heart, because when present Evelyn to me and after Randy and all, and a big thank you for our team, for Gelbert and Juliana. They do an amazing job. And I would say just also a big thank you for First Unity Spiritual Campus, my family, because Temple First Unity is really a tribe, and you embrace all the tribes. When we come in your sanctuary, there is no tribe, there is just heart to heart, and we realize with a mental projection, and we say, okay, let me sing and dance with Wanda, with Rebecca, let me be happy. Boogie Wonderland, baby. Boogie Wonderland. After the vampire. Thank you to each of you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Activist.
Thank
See you at Niagara County on stage.
Yes.